Much like Dutch elm disease did to Winona's elm trees in the late 70s, the emerald ash borer is threatening to wipe out ash trees in the city. City engineer Keith Nelson said the city has already begun to take measures to slow the progress of the insect.
We started the ash borer management plan gradually last year and removed some trees, treated some trees, but last year was just a getting started process. This year we're much more aggressive on it. We've got a crew of 4 people going around treating ash trees. The goal is ultimately over a 3-year time span to treat up to half of the publicly owned ash trees on the boulevards and in the parks. So they'll treat a third of that half every year, and then we have to continue doing that for forever as long as we want to maintain the trees. At the same time, we're also in the process of removing some ash trees that are not very good condition, or the adjacent property owner just wants it gone. We'll take those ash trees out, and then we're aggressively trying to replace with a variety of species of trees on the boulevards. The goal really is to make a gradual transition to the canopy of trees. We anticipate that the ash trees long term will, most of them will be gone, but rather than have that happen in a window of 3 years, 5 years, maybe we can spread that over to 25 years or something along that line and replace them with other trees, so it won't be as noticeable or as overwhelming. When the elm trees went out, you couldn't keep up with it. If that happens to the ash again, I don't know if we could keep up with it. So we need to buffer that and make it more gradual. We initially started the process, said that we would like to take an ash tree out and then we'll put something in replacement of that. But we're just anxious to get those trees in the ground. We have a grant from the Department of Natural Resources to increase the diversity of the trees. So we're anxious to plant as many as we can. We probably will be planting more than we'll be taking down for now. I think we had 100 that we're trying to plant this spring, and we'll probably do the same again in the fall and then again next year as well. So I think a total of 300 or 400 trees. We're having anybody who is interested in an ash tree to be removed or a tree planted on the boulevard to contact Paul Douglas, and he can be reached on the city website. I think he's got some information on the website and forms that can be filled out, and then he will contact the person back, look at the site, and see what kind of tree would be good to be planted there. Is it a good candidate for the program? Right now we're limiting it to removal of ash trees, so we're not just any old tree, but Paul will come out and look at the sites. We're surprised at the number of people that are not wanting trees back on the boulevard, so anybody that does want them, please contact us, and very highly likelihood that we'll be able to get a tree. And they're nice trees, they're being planted, they're big ones. As far as the removal goes, it'll depend on how many people volunteer. We're not, if the tree's in really bad shape, we'll go in and take that out off the boulevards or the park. Beyond that, we're not taking down any good condition trees unless the property owner asks for it. I anticipate that we'll probably be taking down 200 or 300 trees, maybe probably 200 trees this year. We'll see how that goes. It's a lot of trees to come down in the summer. If the bug was left to its own, it can only fly a half mile or something along that line. But what controls it is if somebody starts hauling firewood, and as far as you can drive and carry that wood is how fast it spreads. It's come from the East Coast in 8 or 10 years. So it's traveling pretty quickly. There's none been found in the city yet. The closest infestation is at the state park, the Great River Bluff State Park. I believe that there was 1 or 2 bugs captured on a trap down by Lamoille, but as far as I know, there aren't any trees that are infested in that area. So the closest is, it's still about 10 miles away that we know of. The Department of Agriculture has predicted to a 90% probability that it'll be found in Winona this year. And that all goes into factors of firewood that's brought in, campers traveling on the highway, proximity, number of ash trees around here, all those kind of things. They say they think we'll find it, but at this point we have not seen it anyplace.
If you'd like to learn more about the Boulevard Ash Tree Replacement Program, Homeowners can log on to the City of Winona website, that's cityofwinona.com, or contact Paul Douglas at 457-8255.